One of a gardener's best kicks has to be when you take a little part of a big plant and grow it and make more. And today we're going to be using the Garden Master Seedling mix, which has been specially formulated just for propagating as well as seed sowing. So let's take a closer look at what exactly is in this. It's got a good brown color, moisture levels are good, and in it, if we examine a bit closely, in here is cocoa peat, and we know that cocoa peat is great for moisture retention. There is definitely sifted bark. The sifted bark helps to hold moisture and bulks it up as well, giving that good organic content as well. But also there's something else that I notice in here, and these little white bits. This is perlite, and perlite is fantastic for aeration. So let's get into it. First rule, whatever you're going to be propagating, it's not about size, it's about quality. So make sure the material that you're taking is good and healthy. The other thing is, what's important to understand is timing, and there are loads of references that you can make to the timing and the best time to take cuttings for various plants. The other thing is, do this early in the morning or late in the afternoon. You certainly don't want to be taking your vegetative material during the heat of the day. And when you've taken them, make sure that your workstation is set up so these little guys don't go through stress. Now, I'm using one of these trays. Guys, this works perfectly. They're in this mold, which works really well because nothing then falls over, easy to transport and move around. And of course, you don't have to use the whole thing. They have got drainage holes in them, which is perfect. But in the little well, there is no holes. There are no holes. Right, so first up, we are going to take our little containers, and all we're going to do is fill them up. I'm not squashing them. I'm not firming it down at all. I simply am just getting to the right level. Now, you could put 2 cuttings in one of these. I would suggest planting 2 and not 1. And the reason is this. Science has proved that cuttings grow better when they're with a friend. This stuff here is very important. They're from your local builders, and they basically are rooting hormones. What does that mean? It stimulates root growth. They come 1, 2, or 3, and that is dependent entirely on what you're going to be taking cuttings of. There's one for softwood, there's one for semi-hardwood, and there's one for hardwood. And if in doubt, guys, if you're not sure between 1 or 2, just go with 2, okay? It works. So open it up, and this is critical. Take it and decant it a little bit into a separate little container. Never ever do you take your prepared material and dunk it into your little jar, because if this has got a disease or a virus, that means we've now infected, yes, the whole thing. Okay, so a little bit in there. Over here, I've got a little bowl of water, and we're gonna show you why. Right, most times all I would do is we want this material here, and we want to remove some of the lower leaves. We want that beautiful stem. Most importantly is about the cut. You're gonna make it with a good pair of secateurs that are clean. And if you're worried if they're clean, just use a disinfectant to give them a good scrub. Now, when making your cut, 45 is very important. A 45 degree gives you far more surface area for roots to grow. All right, and what we do is very, very simply, we take our plant material, we dip it in a bit of water, we then dip it into our rooting hormone. The water helps to get the powder to stick onto that 45 perfectly. Then we take the little guy and we pop him in, and then we just firm our seedling mix around it. Very, very simple. And of course, the most important part is giving them a good watering and putting them in a well-lit position. Not harsh sun, it's a well-lit position, or even a little grow house if you have. Once you're done, whatever's left of the hormone powder you need to throw away and start off afresh. Fresh water in our bowl, and then clean little dispenser for our next set of cuttings. And the next set of cuttings are going to be a semi-hardwood. I've got some Bella cuttings here, and this is definitely at a softwood stage. Now, interesting, different plants, you can take several different types of vegetative reproduction from. You could take softwood cuttings, and even some you can take semi-hardwood or even hardwood, but that depends entirely on the plant. You'll notice that there's a lot of leaves here. Now, imagine me trying to deal with that. So what we do is, because we're putting this little guy through a huge amount of stress, is that we actually remove at least half of the leaf growth. We've all got a 2-liter plastic bottle lying around at home. And they certainly do make one of the best mini germination chambers, growing chambers that you could think of. And it really is simple, guys. All we've done is, with the third, cut it through with a craft knife, drilled a few little holes into there for good drainage, obviously. And on this part, we've just made a few slits. And you leave the lid on, because when we pop it on here, we're gonna create like a mini greenhouse effect. Take it, fill in your beautiful seedling mix, give it a good shake, get it nice and level. We take our prepared little cuttings, and of course it's water, it's there, and a little hole, and pop this guy in and firm him up. Oh, imagine how many of these you could make. Right, next step is just the same. Give it a good watering. And what's going to happen is normal transpiration is going to happen. You're going to find little droplets working their way up the sides of this, then falling back down. Of course, importantly, you need to make your label to remind you what you took and the date you took it, because in that way you can test your rooting to see when it is ready for transplant. How do you check when it's ready for rooting? It's very simple, guys. Grab your little cutting and give it a little tug. If there's a bit of resistance, you obviously know the roots are set into that seedling mix. And that, friends, is the 101 on taking vegetative cuttings. Remember, the basis of it all was the Garden Master Seedling mix. Folks, everything I've used here is available from your local builders, either in-store or online. Remember to visit the blog, where you can find more articles, cool tips, and some great videos to turn you into a green-fingered guru and help you along your gardening journey. Get to Builders and get it done.